Many thanks for joining us. Good evening. This is the news on NTA International and we're live in Abuja. I am Ruth Aguele. First, we'll bring you the headlines. President Buhari says stronger diplomatic ties with Hellenic Republic and Republic of Cuba will bolster Nigeria's efforts to diversify the economy. Supreme Court dismisses Emeka Ihedioha and PDP application seeking review of its decision which declares Hope Uzodinma duly elected governor of Imo State for lacking in merit and reaffirms its judgment. And federal government lists Agungu International Fishing Festival on the calendar of Nigerian festivals to be published soon. We'll begin with diplomatic ties. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed optimism that stronger diplomatic ties with Hellenic Republic as well as Cuba will bolster Nigeria's ongoing effort at diversifying the economy, improving global competitiveness and repositioning the country for a greater future. The president stated this while exchanging views with ambassadors of the two countries in Nigeria. Let's hear from State House correspondent Adamu Sambo.
It was a highly befitting diplomatic welcome for the new envoys on arrival at the forecourt of the Nigerian seat of government, perhaps for the first time in their diplomatic careers. The ambassadors who presented their letters of credence to President Muhammadu Buhari were Monsieur Ioannis Plotas of Hellenic Republic, otherwise called Greece, Clara Margarita Pludo Escandel of the Republic of Cuba, and Francisco Mangue of Equatorial Guinea. Exchanging views with the Hellenic Republic envoy, President Muhammadu Buhari said a long-standing diplomatic and business relations with the country will be strengthened for mutual benefit. He believes that most global challenges will need collective efforts for lasting solutions. Ambassador Plotas takes pride in the business ties between Nigeria and Greece, recalling that about 50,000 Nigerians were employed at some point in the country's history by a flour mills company from his country. He told President Buhari that he will continue to support and project Nigeria across Europe at every opportunity while sharing its expertise in agriculture with institutions and individuals in the country. Talking to the ambassador of Cuba to Nigeria, Clara Escandel, President Buhari said the cultural similarities between both countries should serve as impetus for working together, especially on trade, saying Cuba's efforts at developing medicine and engineering could provide the springboard. President Buhari appreciated the support Nigeria received at international fora from Cuba for many years, promising that the bilateral relations would be strengthened. The Cuban envoy, Clara Escandel, told President Buhari that the history of Cuba will be incomplete without Nigeria and Nigerians. Nigerians, she said, played great roles in the development of our country. She described President Buhari's personal venture, integrity, and voice at the United Nations General Assembly in projecting Nigeria as outstanding. At the ceremony, President Buhari assured the ambassador of Equatorial Guinea, Francisco Mangue, that Nigeria is taking measures towards securing the Gulf of Guinea following his meeting with President Theodore Obiang Nguema Basogo. Ambassador Mangue expressed worry that the challenges of security in the Gulf of Guinea had persisted. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has received in audience a special envoy of President Patrice Talon of the neighboring Benin Republic. Details of their discussions held behind closed doors were not made public. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Talking health, Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Anire, has assured the Senate leader that the ministry has put adequate measures in place to avert the spread of the novel coronavirus in Nigeria. The minister, who was at the National Assembly in company of the Minister of State for Health and officials of the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, explained that they have been stringent screening at the airports, tracking of contacts with the index case, and provision of isolation centers. President of the Senate stressed stressed the need for establishment of quarantine centers in 6 geopolitical zones with standards provided by the Federal Ministry of Health. President of the Senate also granted audience to the newly inaugurated chairman and members of the National Assembly Service Commission, who promised to ensure a more productive workforce for the National Assembly. And in the Green Chambers, the House of Representatives has passed a resolution calling on the federal government to convene an emergency National Council of Health meeting to strategize on tackling coronavirus in Nigeria. The House also urged that more emergency funds should be released for effective intervention and management of the virus. Those were among resolutions reached by House members following a motion of urgent importance from Representative Onyeme Idem on the need for emergency response to tackle coronavirus in Nigeria. The lawmakers also passed a resolution for the National Assembly to suspend plenary for 2 weeks as a preventive measure against the spread of the infectious disease. Meanwhile, a bill seeking to prohibit and criminalize casualization of workers after 6 months of engagement by employers in Nigeria, sponsored by Representative Wale Raji, went through second reading. Another update on coronavirus: a Chinese national who displayed symptoms for coronavirus at Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, on Monday is being tested, and the result will be made available to the public as soon as possible. The State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, gave this overview at a briefing in Lagos.
At the moment, we only have one patient in quarantine. An individual who came in on a flight from Ethiopia, and his test is being performed as we speak. I should know that result in a couple of hours. If it is negative, then he goes on with his business. If it is positive, then we will isolate him and carry out his treatment.
And report just reaching us says the suspected case tested negative. In the meantime, the World Health Organization has commended the government of Ogun State for speedily responding to the first case of coronavirus in the state. The head of African Regional Office, WHO, Professor Bola Olayinka, who gave the commendation during a visit to the governor, Dr. Abiodun, in Abeokuta, said WHO is working with the Nigerian Center for Disease Control to provide support on how to control the spread. Lukman Adefeso report is presented in this package.
Coronavirus has proliferated around the globe over the past week. Current statistics indicate that about 57 countries, including Nigeria, are now trying to salvage its outbreak. Nigerians' alarm over potential global pandemic informed the visit by the World Health Organization and National Center for Disease Control, NCDC, to Ogun State to brief the governor on the technical guidelines on how to control coronavirus.
The key thing is rapid containment. What do I mean by containment? Being able to have a high level of index of suspicion to know that this might be a suspected case, to isolate that patient while other things are happening. And I think Ogun State did well in this.
The governor, Prince Dr. Abiodun, maintained that the 40 contacts established currently in isolation centers have not shown any symptoms of coronavirus.
I'm sure you're aware that we set up emergency telephone lines that our epidemiologists will be answering so that people can call. One of the things we realize is that we must step up this advocacy.
People are therefore enjoined not to panic, but maintain personal hygiene and visit government-owned hospital rather than engage in self-medication.
Away from health to security, troops of Operation Lafia Dole deployed to Baga local government area have rescued 9 women and 16 children. A statement by the Nigerian Army Operations Media Coordinator, Colonel Aminu Ilyasu, indicates that the victims were liberated during a clearance operation in Bula, Gudi and Safa villages of Baga, Borno State. Similarly to Chedian, alleged members of Boko Haram terrorist group have surrendered to troops of Army Super Camp 2, Gamboru Ngala local government area of Borno State. Colonel Ilyasu notes that the suspects revealed that intense artillery bombardments and ground assault on their camp forced them to escape and confirm the presence of foreign mercenaries among them. Several criminals were arrested, others killed in combat, and arms were also recovered. Let's look at Agric. The Office of the National Security Advisor to the President and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture have agreed to work together towards ensuring the terrorists are denied access to fertilizer used in making explosives. This is coming as the Minister of Agriculture presents to the public a new policy guidelines for production, marketing and distribution of fertilizer. Let's hear from Musa Baba Aliyu.
Fertilizer are commonly used to boost soil fertility to enhance crop yield. The input, however, has in it ingredients that can be used in the manufacturing of explosives. There are claims that Boko Haram terrorists are using fertilizer, especially NPK, to make explosives which they use to attack communities, especially in northeast Nigeria. The situation occasioned the ban placed on the movement of fertilizer in northeast in 2015.
The issue of fertilizer has become one of the source of our problem in the security architecture in this country. And I would like to challenge, especially the blenders, to turn their attention now to the production of wet blend fertilizer that will be free of explosive.
We are making progress in research to ensure that some fertilizers that are available to us cannot be utilized by the terrorists to make their homemade bombs.
The National Fertilizer Quality Control Act, recently passed into law by the National Assembly and assented to by the President, is expected to address all issues relating to diversion and proliferation of fake and substandard fertilizer.
The activities of the fake fertilizer operators greatly affected the investment of the genuine fertilizer businessmen, thereby dampening the rate of real investment in the Nigerian fertilizer industry.
When it comes to the committee that will set up for the implementation, the office of the NSC should be part of that committee to ensure that whatever is done professionally.
The Act provides 5 years jail term for any person found guilty of violating the law without any option of fine. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
The National Emergency Management Agency is to streamline the distribution of food items and condiments to IDPs in northeast Nigeria. Director Relief and Rehabilitation of NEMA, Dr. Onimode Bandele, stated this in Fufore IDP camp in Yola, where he went to intervene in the disagreement that occurred 2 weeks ago. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu will complete the story.
Since June 2017, Vice President Yemi Oshibajo launched the special door-to-door food intervention in the Northeast, in line with the federal government's determination to take responsibility of adequate feeding of IDPs in the zone. The outcry of inadequate food distribution became a thing of the past. A 50 kg of assorted food items is allocated to one household comprising a family of 4 monthly. The Fufure IDP camp in Yola has been part of these arrangements since inception. Aside the food distribution, the Fufure IDP camp enjoyed adequate water supply with 2 wing motorized boreholes and 4 hand pumps spread in the camp. However, 2 weeks ago, the IDPs staged a protest over inadequate supply of food items and delay in the distribution of the items. These visits of NEMA, Director, Relief and Rehabilitation, did not only announce regular distribution of the monthly food items, but also the scale-up of distribution with condiment and other items.
The government has to put his house in order, ensure that what is given to people in Maiduguri, in Yobe, and wherever we have IDP is exactly what we are doing here.
With the number of out-of-school children at the camps, observers say the state government must look inward in making education accessible to the children. From Fufure in Yola, Adamawa State, Ilyasu Aliyakubu, NTA News.
All right, let's pause for some messages. We're back shortly, so stay tuned.
COVID-19 transmission is mostly through droplets from sneezing and saliva. The most effective way to protect yourself from the virus is to practice good personal hygiene. Wash hands with soap under running water or use an alcohol-based sanitizer if water is not available. Maintain at least 2 meters distance between yourself and anyone who is coughing or sneezing. Cover your mouth and nose with your elbow or tissue when you cough or sneeze. Dispose of the used tissue immediately. If you have traveled recently to a country with COVID-19 outbreak in the last 14 days and you have a fever, cough, or breathing difficulty, call NCDC toll-free numbers before going to the hospital. This message is from the National Orientation Agency.
Today or 4 days when my girls won't come visit and I need to go expire.
Oh, my guys, they can't follow me watch this match. I must not fold the hand.
Babe, what's happening now? Sorry to disappoint you, but my subscription don't expire.
The match is not on my GoTV package.
Now your holla be that. I beg, give me your phone.
Make I show you how you go take do it for my GoTV app for your phone.
Life is so much easier with my GoTV app. Make payments, clear error messages, change your package. You can also check your due dates and keep abreast of your payment history. The new My GoTV app is everything you need in one place. So what are you waiting for? Download My GoTV app now from Google Play or App Store to enjoy the easy life. GoTV. Live it, love it.
Thank you for being there. It is the third day of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria, holding in Abuja. As usual, critical social issues bothering on the development of the country, such as peace and security, unity, poverty, and the role of the church form the major focus. The theme of the conference is the Word of God, a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
Clergies at the event, which includes the Archbishop of Abuja, Ignatius Kaigama, stressed on the need for Nigerians to have cordial relationship with God and a peaceful coexistence among one another. 20 days in notes would defeat evil and extremism. As he says, there's the need to also work together to eradicate poverty, diseases, unnecessary deaths, and other issues affecting the people.
Millions are displaced and we don't seem to care. Something is wrong. We haven't yet cultivated that spirit of patriotism, that spirit of oneness. We may declare we are one Nigeria, but many things divide us. Ethnic interests, political interests, and worst of all, religious interests. Something must be done to repair the damage that has been done.
The Archbishop observes that so much is happening, calling for more patriotic Nigerians to come forth and help address these issues. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo was among dignitaries that graced the opening mass of the first 2020 plenary meeting and a dinner at the end of the second day. His presence was described as a demonstration of his love and solidarity at all times with Nigerians, including the church.
When you are with us like this and we are suffering, we feel we are together. But when there is a gap, we feel there is an insensitivity. We need to have access to our leaders. We need to have access to the president, to the vice president, to the ministers. They need to be closer to the people that elected them.
Archbishop Kagame said the habit of condemning political leaders and people in positions of authority was harmful to society and inimical to its growth. They advised the people to always pray for those in position of power and the country. The conference is scheduled to end on Thursday this week. In Abuja, Jide Onifade.
The federal government has listed Argungu International Fishing Festival on the calendar of Nigerian festivals to be published soon. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed disclosed this at a press conference to herald the 2020 Argungu Fishing Festival in Abuja. Anthony Forson will tell us more.
This cultural display is a tip of the iceberg if a roll call of activities lined up for the Argungu International Fishing Festival is to be taken. It is in line with this that the Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed announced how important the festival is to the federal government, especially in its quest to diversify the economy through the promotion of the creative industry.
These festivals are the rich ingredients for the enhancement of tourism in Nigeria. And they are part of the creative industry, which is one of the areas the federal government relies on for the diversification of the economy away from oil.
The minister said his ministry has made it a priority to raise the visibility of such festivals by attending as many as possible and as all roads lead to Argungu. Lai Mohammed assured that the event will be given massive publicity.
We will be using the new and traditional media to put the 2020 Argungu International Fishing and Cultural Festival on the national and international map. The festival deserves no less.
Deputy Governor of Kebbi State, Samala Yombi, explained that the festival was rested on account of insecurity, but with the return of normalcy, it has become necessary to revive it as it is part of the people's heritage, which must not be allowed to go extinct.
A number of entertaining events have been added to the cultural festival to give it a national and international outlook.
The Director General, National Automotive Design and Development Council, Jelani Aliu, expressed satisfaction that the festival has as one of its components motor racing, a platform that will afford cars assembled in Nigeria to come on board to test their width and capacity.
To us, NADDC, this would allow us opportunity to show our commitment to moving this industry forward, to show that many Nigerians have been part of this industry and that are making a valuable contribution to the society.
Emir of Argungu, while expressing gratitude for the recognition and support from the federal government in promoting the cultural heritage of the people, conferred on the Minister of Information and Culture the traditional title of Kakakin Kebbi, which means the cultural ambassador of Kebbi. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA.
Let's turn to the judiciary. The Supreme Court, in a majority decision of 6-1, has reaffirmed its previous judgment, which declared Hope Uzodinma of All Progressives Congress winner of March 9, 2019 Imo governorship election in the 14th January judgment of the court, which nullified the election of former governor of Imo State, Emeka Ihedioha, and enthroned Hope Uzodinma governor of the state. The Supreme Court held that it lacked powers to sit on appeal over its judgment. The court specifically held that by virtue of Section 235 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, its decision is final on any judgment based on merit and shall not be reviewed once delivered under any guise except where there are clerical errors. With this judgment, all progressives parties Hope Uzodinma remains the governor of Imo State, having been declared as such by the Supreme Court in its earlier judgments. Let's talk business now, and Olainka Ojo will be our guide.
Welcome to Business News. The federal government, through the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC), says it paid 43.09 billion naira as subsidy on premium motor spirits (PMS), also known as petrol, in the month of February 2020. Data obtained from Petroleum Product Pricing Regulatory Agency (PPPRA) shows that the amount paid as subsidy in January 2020 represented a decline of 22.47% when compared with 55.09 2.58 billion naira paid by the federal government to subsidize the commodity in December 2019. The Debt Management Office DMO has opened offer for the federal government of Nigeria's savings bond for March 2020 with yields lower than what it offered in February. The offer circular showed that it is offering the 2-year FGN savings bond due March 11, 2022 at 4.1%, while the 3-year FGN savings bond due March 2023 was offered at 5.1%. How much is the naira exchanging for the international currencies? And that report concludes this segment of the news. I am Olayinka Ojo.
Many thanks, Olayinka. Next is news on the foreign scene, and Obiageli Ugwoke will lead us.
Hello and thanks for joining us. Ukraine has confirmed its first case of coronavirus. Acting head of the Health Ministry's Public Health Center said the man has been hospitalized in Chernivtsi. Meanwhile, the UK's Prime Minister Boris Johnson has outlined UK's coronavirus plan. He said keeping the UK safe is the government's overriding priority. He urged everyone to wash hands with soap and hot water. In the meantime, Tanzania's State House has shared a picture of the country's president observing new measures promoted by the Health Ministry to prevent the spread of coronavirus. Governments around the world, including Tanzania's government, have advised people to avoid hugging, kissing and greeting people by hand to prevent the spread of the virus. Away from coronavirus updates, the UN Special Envoy for Libya, Ghassan Salamé, has resigned, saying his effort to bring peace in the North African country is damaging his health. And in Indonesia, the most active volcano has erupted, spewing sand and pyroclastic material and sending a massive column of smoke and ash as high as 6,000 meters into the sky. Indonesia's Geology and Volcanology Research Agency said villagers living on Merapi's fertile slopes are advised to stay 3 kilometers from the crater's mouth. And that's the package. Thanks for your time. I'm Obiageli Ugwoke.
Thank you, Obiageli. And talking sports, Tamara Ibiwe will lead us.